This is simple, Wilds. One team played with a sense of urgency. One team didn't. One team played like it was do or die. One team played like it was a walk in the park. The Milwaukee Bucks played like their season was on the line. And the Nets played like they were at the morning shoot-around. They played like they just wanted to get a good sweat, get a nice lather, get James out there, get the hamstring loosened up, and be ready for Game 7. I mean, that's really what it boiled down to. And it's all in the numbers. The Bucks, 22 of their first 30 points were in the paint. That means they said, look, let's finally use our size and height advantage. Giannis, 11 of his 12 field goals in the paint. 10 of those 12 in the restricted area. No three-point attempts. Kudos to Giannis. They finally wised up. And then 26-4 fast break points. 6 block shots for the Bucks, 1 block shot for the Nets. Those are hustle, want to, desperation stats. And they tell the story of the game. And I'm going to say something. I don't know how people will take this. I mean it completely positively. But Khris Middleton last night, he looked like a poor man's Kevin Durant. And I mean that in a good way. I don't know. People might think that's an insult. No, he looked like a poor man's Kevin Durant. Because every time the Nets were like, we're here, well, we might as well win, and tried to come back, Middleton hit a big shot, right? And shut it down or went on a run. And so it just the Bucks showed up. Yeah, and the Nets did. Look, Jeff Green and Blake Griffin came back to earth, and Joe Harris stayed on earth where he's been the last 4 games. So the Nets just didn't show up.
Broussard's great. All right, here's the thing. I think you're being a little unfair to the Nets. I don't think it's that they didn't show up. I think it's that they were out of gas, man. And I think they were out of gas, except for Jeff Green, midway through Game 5, and Kevin Durant said, all right, damn it, I'll push the car. And he pushed the car. But now he is on the side of the road, hyperventilating, exhausted, and everyone else is like, what do you want us to do? There is a reason, and I know folks think I'm too hard on Steve Nash, but the reason I'm hard on Steve Nash is up to this point, he hasn't been very good. There is a reason you don't treat a Game 5 like Game 7, because then you have a Game 6. In Game 5, Steve Nash played 7 guys. In Game 6, Steve Nash played 6 guys. So you are now, it's Game 7, I guess all 5 are going to go all 48. I don't know what you do. Bruce Brown was an important part of your rotation. He doesn't play anymore. Mike James was kind of a break glass in case of emergency. He doesn't play anymore. Instead, all those minutes are being replaced by a one-legged man who I give James Harden massive credit. He should not be out there. And he is not only forced his way out there, he has found a way to totally change the way he plays, to still add some type of impact. But this is the risk you run with treating the Game 5, which was not a must-win, like it was. And this is the risk you run now because Game 6, everyone laughed at Reggie Miller. Reggie sent a tweet after Game 5 saying, if you're Nash, do you sit KD and Harden for Game 6 and push all your chips in the middle of the table for Game 7? Now, that obviously was too extreme. But the other extreme is play KD and Harden for 41 of the first 44 minutes until you wave the white flag in the 4th. And now, what do we think they're going to have left? Now, Brandon, the reason you shouldn't feel terribly as a Nets fan is while the Nets are exhausted and breathing heavily, the Bucks feel great until the game gets close, and then they start hyperventilating. Then as soon as it's not a 3-possession game, the Bucks are like, oh my God, what do we do? So I don't know what we're going to see in Game 7. I don't trust the Bucks in a close game. I don't trust the Nets to get to the finish line. But I don't think the Nets were terrible last night. I think they're exhausted.
Yeah, I do think they were exhausted because there was a few plays where you saw, them, maybe it was a bad pass by Harden or there was just a bad possession on offense, you saw guys drag ass and getting back on the defensive side. You saw that. So when you look at fast break points, you had the Bucks with 26 and you had the Nets with 4. So that's a sign that guys may be tired. And the reason why that's prevalent is because they've busted their butts all playoffs. We've been talking about what they're going to look like on the defensive side. Well, they stepped up and took that to a whole nother level. They went to the extreme with defense. Yep. So lack of effort has not been a problem. But here's the deal, though, Nick. I push back on you when it comes to Game 5 and Nash. Get off my boy. That was absolutely a must-win game. So him approaching it this way, to me, is the right mindset. You know, the problem is this. You look at Joe Harris, who led the NBA from 3, 47%, 47.8%, damn near 50. And now you have turned into Ben Simmons the last 5 games. We're talking about missing 22 of your last 27 attempts. That is a problem. Can you please help out your boy? And then when you talk about James Harden, the problem with James right now is, yeah, he's limited, but James needs to find a way to get that shot to drop just a little bit more because he's creating space. Guys know he's not as quick as he was before the injury, the hamstring injury, but he's creating space. Now you just needed to drop just a little bit more. If he gets hot, and I expect him to get hot because that's what great players do, when KD's back was against the wall in Game 5, look what he did, 49 points, then it's a problem. But maybe we'll see Joe Harris step up and contribute, and maybe we'll see, well, no, I ain't going to say maybe. We're going to see James Harden step up and get a little hot from the three-point line.
Okay. All right. Look, I agree with you, Brandon, that great players step up in great moments. That's not necessarily Harden's playoff history. I don't know if that factors into it or not. I think it's more of a hamstring thing. So, Broussard, I want to show you this play, and Doris did a great job sort of highlighting it and showcasing it during the game. He gets this steal, and usually it's off to the races. Easy layup, maybe even an and one. Nope, he pulls it way, way back. Yep. To me, this was sort of the story of the game and might be the story of Game 7. That I know that we were all very happy with him gutting it out Willis Reed style. Here's the thing. Willis Reed didn't really contribute when he came back, and neither did James Harden. So I think at this point, I'm expecting far less of James Harden than I originally expected.
What?
Keep this rolling.
Less, yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, no, just
let's keep
that rolling again.
Fewer minutes or just not production?
But look at that. Keep that. Roll that again. Like yes, James Harden is limited, but when he ripped Giannis, all of his guys was behind him. You know what I'm saying? Look at everybody. And then so one, what is he supposed to do? And then two, that also goes back to Nick's point. That also goes back to Nick's point where, you know, they're exhausted. KD is walking. You got Jeff taking a deep breath and walking. And look, what is that, Blake Griffin over there? So there's more to it. I just think they just need to catch their breath. They need to get a couple massages. They need to hydrate for Game 7.
Well, I do think some of those guys will have more energy for Game 7. But what he's supposed to do, in Broussard, I think that's what you're going to say, is if he's healthy, he doesn't need anybody else with him. He's ahead of the play. If he's healthy, it's a layup. And so that's not I don't think James Harden right there, that's exhaustion. I think it's James Harden. Doris nailed it, Broussard. Understood I could pull the hamstring right now. I'm not, and that's why I think he's playing smart. I think he knows what happened in Game 1 was I felt a little tightness. I tried to pretend I didn't, and within 1 minute I pulled it. Within 1 minute I hurt myself again. I'm not going to put myself in that position again. But go ahead, Broussard.
Well, he can't go all out. That's all there is to it. He can't just go out on a full sprint, and he knows that. So I agree he's playing smart. But that's why they only have 4 fast break points, because obviously every rebound they kick it to Harden, and he slows it down. But that's what they got to do. Look, I really sense trepidation on this panel. I'm sorry, Brandon's got no base. Nick says they're dead. Nick, let me say this. The Nets, can we stop it? The Nets are not made out of sugar. The Nets are not made out of sugar. Oh my gosh, they played 40-some-odd minutes. They're exhausted. Poor guys. Come on. They played 5 games against Boston. Kevin Durant hasn't even played 50 games this year, including the playoffs. I don't want to hear about the exhaustion. It's the playoffs. And they ain't physical. This ain't, yes, I'm going to sound like that old guy. But back in the day, it was commonplace to go 40-plus in the playoffs when they were hammering you.
The commonplace.
Stop it with the old. What did you expect? They played 44 minutes. Stop it. Look, the Nets are fine. The Nets will go home and close out the Milwaukee Bucks. Ooh, believe you me.
Yes, let's go. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. Yes. You can say back in the day they did this. That's fine, but it's not back in that day. It's this day. And this day, you are what you've been built to be. And these guys have not been built to play these types of minutes. And the guy who must play brilliantly in Game 7 is KD, and KD is in a unique spot. KD is going to play more minutes this series than he has played in any series since he was 25 years old. Kevin Durant, think about this. Kevin Durant has not been pushed in a playoff series except for 2018 against Houston in 5 years. KD in this series, Brandon, has already played more minutes this series than he played in the fourth quarter all season. And so you're asking Kevin Durant, at the most basketball exhausted he's probably ever been in his entire career, hey, all we need is another transcendent game. Because I don't think they can win Game 7 if he isn't 90% of what he was in Game 5. And Game 5 was the best game he's ever played. So I think
he's in Game 47. He's in Game 47 this year.
Brandon, I have to be the Kevin Durant defender. Once again, I think you guys are being too hard on him. Brandon, I think you guys
let me put some bass in my voice. Hopefully, let me put some bass in my voice, and hopefully it's enough bass for you, Chris, okay? KD's going to drop 35, okay? You're going to have James Harden go for 22, and you're going to have Joe Harris finally step up and find the bottom of the net. He's going to go for 5 from 7 from three-point line, and then Blake Griffin going to hit a little corner 3 when we absolutely need him. And then you're going to see Kyrie Irving pregame warming up. He's going to tease us. He's going to be warming up for the conference finals. That's what you're going to see. Is that enough bass for you, Chris? Is that enough bass?
All right, I'll take that. That's better. You get there.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.